Thank you. You may be seated, please. Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. Honorable Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Senator Adeleke Olorunimbe Mamora. Honorable Minister of State, Science, Technology and Innovation, Chief Henry Ikechukwu Iko. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, Mrs. Munilola Udo. Essays to Mr. President, attached to the Office of the Honorable Minister, Chairman of Board of Parastatals and Agencies, present here today. DGs and Chief Executives of Parastatals and Agencies under the Ministry of Information and Culture, Science, Technology and Innovation, present. Directors, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. Directors, Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, here present. Editors, bureau chiefs, other members of the media, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I want to formally welcome you all to another edition in our series, PMB Administration Scorecard 2015 to 2023. For those who have been following, this is the 10th edition in our series, and we'll be featuring the Honorable Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Senator Adeleke Olorunimbe Mamora. Honorable Minister, I welcome you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you very much. Thank you. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this series gives opportunity to ministers of the Federal Republic to share their success stories in terms of performance, progress reports, and achievements to date. This series today is also expected to provide a platform for the media that sets agenda on matters of public interest to ask pertinent and germane questions on the developmental achievements of the present administration as regards science, technology, and innovation. You will all agree with me that science and technology remains the most potent instrument for engendering development in any society, because where you fish determines what you catch. I welcome you all. I thank you for finding time to be with us. Let me inform this gathering that this engagement is being beamed live by the Nigerian Television Authority, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, and Voice of Nigeria. It is also streamed live on the Facebook social media platform of Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and other social media platforms. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me also quickly walk you into the program of today. The Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, who is also the coordinator and chief moderator of this event, will give the opening remarks, after which the Honorable Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation will now make a presentation. Then we'll now move into a very important aspect of this engagement, which of course is the question and answer section. To the gentlemen of the media, when we get to that segment and you are recognized to speak, you tell us your name, the media organization you are representing, and please restrict your questions or your comments to the issues to be addressed by the Honorable Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation in his presentation. Please let us be decent enough in the use of language. Please let us avoid any distractive conversation or side talks that could distort the flow of communication at this engagement. We will appreciate if you do that for us. At this point, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, because our time is fast spent, we will not be able to recognize all our DGs individually, but please bear with us because of our time. At this point, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to respectfully invite the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, to please give the opening remarks. Honorable Minister.
The Honorable Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, my brother, Dr. Senator Adeleke Olorunde Mamura, Honorable Minister of State, Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Chief Henry Ikechukwu Iko, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Science and Technology and Innovation, Mrs. Munilola Udo, the Special Assistants to the President, 1 and 2, Mrs. Olusegun Adeyemi and Williams Adeleye, Directors General, Chief Executive Officers of agencies under the 2 ministries, and directors from the 2 ministries here present, editors and bureau chiefs, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen.
Men are more understanding than women.
I don't know how many of you were quite around when we had premiers in Nigeria. You see, between 1954 and 1966, we had premiers in Nigeria. Because in those days, there were only 4 regions: Northern region, Western region, Eastern region, and then towards the end, we had the Mid-Western region. And our premiers were very colorful. In particular, the then premier of Western region, Chief Ladoke Akintola, was a very humorous and witty. One day, he went to address a political gathering, and of course, he was many hours late. When he got there, everybody was looking at the watch to say he was late. The man looked at them, said, "What's your problem?" Then the aide whispered to him, "Sir, this meeting was supposed to start at 10. You are coming at 2. The premier said, "It is when the premier arrives that it is 10 o'clock. In other words, it's when the Minister of Science and Technology arrives that it's 11 o'clock. But on a more serious note, I want to commend the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology because he left Lagos this morning. I called him about 11 p.m. yesterday night. He was still in Lagos.
Preference. Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah. I warmly welcome you all to this landmark 10th edition of the PMB Administration Scorecard Series 2015-2023. As a quick reminder, we have so far hosted 9 ministers from Works and Housing, Interior, Agriculture and Rural Development, Finance, Budget and National Planning, Water Resources, Environment, Mines and Steel Development. The PMB Administration Scorecard Series was launched in October this year as part of an overall program to showcase and document the numerous achievements of the Buhari administration. Today, the 10th edition, we will have a presentation from the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology. Before I yield the podium to our guest, I would like to once again alert the nation to the dangers posed by fake news and disinformation. I've had reason to speak on this at this forum when I warned that fake news and disinformation constitute clear and present danger to the 2023 election. However, fake news and disinformation, if not checked, can also have a negative impact on our nation's ongoing fight against terrorism. As you all are aware, an international news agency recently reported that the Nigerian military, in their fight against Boko Haram and ISWAP, has been running a secret, systematic, and illegal abortion program in the Northeast. Ostensibly, according to them, because, and I quote, the children of insurgents are predestined by the blood in their veins, to one day take arms against the Nigerian government and society, end of quote. This story also claimed that 10,000 such abortions have been carried out from 2013 to date on women and girls. The news agency made this grave allegation without a scintilla of evidence, citing only anonymous sources and the reported review of phantom documents. The agency claimed that its investigation was based on interviews with 33 women and girls. Can you imagine? Interview with 33 women and girls to arrive at the bogus claim of 10,000 abortions. In other words, each of them must have known at least 300 women that performed abortion. Bunker. And in a further indication that the figure of abortions quoted was arbitrary or possibly conjured, the news agency first put the figure at 12,000 before settling for 10,000. The federal government hereby categorically states that there is no secret, systematic, and illegal abortion program being run by our military in the Northeast or anywhere across the country. We also hereby reject the accusation of running an abortion program leveled at our military. We state categorically that this story is a scary instance of fake news and disinformation combined. The writers deserve an award in fiction writing. The question is, what is the motive of this news agency and the usual suspects who have latched onto this story? Why is this so-called investigation coming at a time when our heroic men and women uniform have been recording successes after successes, decimating the terrorists, rescuing abducted persons of terrorists who have surrendered? For the record, in 2022 alone, the Nigerian military has rescued 11 Chibok girls with all their children. 2,018 other persons, comprising 339 adult males, 660 adult females, and 1,019 children, while 82,845 persons, comprising 16,621 male fighters, 24,638 women, and 41,386 children have surrendered. The military has also neutralized 494 terrorists. Note this does not include terrorists neutralized through the airstrikes and terrorism fighting. Why is this news agency not playing up this positive news, but instead chose to give prominence to a phantom abortion story? Is this a ploy to demoralize and distract our fighting forces? Is it a strategy to set the world against Nigeria and cut off the support that is critical to crushing terrorists? Only the news agency can answer these questions. But we stand by our military, which has served meritoriously at home and at regional and global peacekeeping operations from 1960 to date. We know that our military operations in the Northeast are not arbitrary, but based on the military's standard operating procedure and the rules of engagement, among others. When any proven infraction or criminal act has been committed by any soldier, the law has always taken its course. But it is beyond the pale and downright dangerous to accuse a nation's military without any verifiable evidence of massive
NTA, you can't beat the rich. Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging.
Thank you for bailing me out and explaining the basis. Not an excuse, but just to let you know that this is a serious assignment which we also take very seriously.
NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
This is the moment we've been waiting. It's time to rise up, do it again. Africa, do your dance now. Or do your winning dance now. So we never lose it again. Africa, rise up. Yes, we gon' rise up. Africa, rise up.
To maximum of 1 hour. What I did not tell him, which he himself knows, is that when you invite a politician to the microphone, that is dangerous. And when that politician happens to be a former speaker,
NTA, you can't beat the rich. Although
item there is policy and legal frameworks, then implementation / achievements. And we have got to compress whatever we're doing here today to be able to keep to that time limit. So we'll be looking of science, tech, and innovation in the areas of health, food security, education and capacity building, energy and power, manufacturing and business. And last but not the least is the national defense and internal security. Then we move on to Nigeria's drive towards enhanced global competitiveness ranking. And item 6 there talks about enhancing science, tech, and innovation funding. And the last item is concluding remarks. I want to say with all due sense of modesty that our ministry, Federal Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation, has continued to embark on need-based research and development activities with cross-cutting issues. And every close observer of the ministry's disposition to the attainment of the mandate and other responsibilities from 2015 to date will testify to our commitment to duty, resulting in landmark achievements that are verifiable with empirical evidence. And most of these achievements are in the realm of for the first time in the history of our nation. The modest achievements of the ministry and its 18 parastatals, well, I know that
from dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Preview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the YouReport link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
Core values and critical success factors. The new departments of the ministry and of course divisions are developed along standard classification of research and development, which includes all strata ranging from pure science to social sciences and the art. And of course, recently we established a new agency that is called Nigeria Council for Food Science and Technology. And it's not because women have one of their most important offices as the kitchen. Because if you are talking of food, you must be referring to kitchen as well. So not just because of that, we looked at the competence, and that is why that new agency is headed by a woman. Thank you very much. And by way of mandate of our ministry, that is as assigned to us by Mr. President himself. But don't forget that constitutionally, under the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, under section 18, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, it says that government shall promote science and technology. I mean, that's a specific statement coming from the fountain of laws of the country itself. So, for the period in view, that is when the life of this administration will end, the deliverables as handed to us by Mr. President essentially include the following. A, implementation of the new 2022 National Science and Technology and Innovation Policy. B, rationalize, revitalize, and reposition all federal research institutes. C is the establishment of program for the utilization and commercialization of research outputs from the federal research institutes by small businesses. And what we are saying here is that, you see, there is no point for research products to just be lying on the shelves until and unless these research products get to the market. Then we cannot say that we have really achieved. And it's not an easy task at all. And that's why we continue to encourage a kind of handshake between the research institutes and the industries, so that the products can get to the market. And it's when these products get to the market that they become useful to us as a people. D is establishment of science and technology parks across the country, subject to the availability of intervention funds. And I really like that clause, subject to intervention funds, because you cannot do these things without funding. It's very critical. E is actively collaborate with the private sector for the Nigerian youths. And of course, the last mandate is to implement a strategy towards the realization of Mr. President's June 12 promise to take 100 million of Nigerians out of poverty in the next 10 years. That's a collaborative thing. It doesn't lie, strictly or absolutely with the Federal Ministry of Science, Tech and Innovation. It's a joint mandate for all the ministries, departments, and agencies. So briefly, the vision statement of our ministry is to be the foremost national science, technology, and innovation establishment in Africa, comparable with the best in the world. That's the vision statement. And the mission statement is to deploy science, technology, and innovation in achieving sustainable knowledge-based economy for the nation. And this, I need to just say a little bit more about this. I always say that when you talk of resource-based, oftentimes we are looking at natural resources. But natural resources are finite. They can dry up. And that is why the focus, the goal is to move from resource-based to knowledge-based. Knowledge is infinite. So there's always something to look for, to develop when you're talking of knowledge. And that is what the global approach is. Well, in terms of the core values, I will just briefly, there are about 9 core values that we have put here, but let me just quickly mention a few. It's maintaining, nurturing, and promoting science, tech, and innovation ethics and values, promoting STI. When next you hear STI, it's science, tech, and innovation. Enables research and development for reliability towards sustainable development. Of course, adaptability and applicability of STI-enabled research and development breakthrough and findings, and imbibing the culture of result-based management logical framework. These are just some of the, because I need to move fast to be able to keep to the time limit. And critical success factors that we have established include promoting the value of science, tech, and innovation to the general public through continuous effective advocacy. And that is one of the things we are doing in our Executive Order 5, which is to establish a culture. A culture. You know, when you establish a culture, it becomes routine. It becomes part of you. Culture of science, technology, and innovation in everything that we do these days. Because it doesn't matter whether you are an arts person or you are in, name it. You need science, technology, and innovation to move ahead, because that's why we say we are in the age of the fourth industrial revolution, which has science and technology embedded in virtually everything that we do. Of course, we want to be sure that people get value for money in all research and development plans, programs, and projects. Part of the critical success factors also include enhancing adequate coordination of regulatory institutions in Nigeria for standardization and methodology of products in the course of conformity assessment, using appropriate toolbox to provide certification and accreditation of goods, services, and systems. Of course, what we are saying here is that we must be able to produce goods and products that are competitive, so that we can be in the reckoning outside of our own shores. Then, of course, very importantly, leveraging facts and data rather than fiction, fallacy, guesswork for informed decision making. Because oftentimes we just do some guess, and science is evidence-based. We need evidence, we need data for everything that we do, planning, what have you. You need this. So it's very important. And we should be looking at our own figures, not the figures that we are getting from foreign lands. Again, promoting capacity building with the Federal Minister of Science, Technology, and Innovation, and indeed among young Nigerians to become entrepreneurs in various small, medium enterprises to lift millions out of poverty. Those are some of the critical success factors that we are using to get to where we want to be. Well, let me just mention a few of the, I told you we have 17 agencies, and I'm glad to observe that most of the heads of our agencies are here present, and I want to commend all of you that are here to be part of this. Of course, thank you very much. Energy Commission, National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA, FIRO. Well, it may interest you that the DG of Firo is a woman. Aha. I know you will clap for that. As the journalists will say, dog bites man is no news. But man bites dog, that is news. So that men head some agencies is no news. But when women head some of these agencies, it's news. Isn't it? Good. And of course, we have the acting DG of NITA. That's Nigerian Institute of Trypanosomiasis and Onchocerciasis in Kaduna, also a woman. Abi? Aha. We have our agencies, National Research Institute for Chemical Technology. You have NASDA, that's National Space Research and Development Agency. You have the Building and Road Research Institute, NIBRI. We have MBTI, National Board of Technology Incubation. We have, I've mentioned the NICFOS, that's the Council of Food Science and Technology, also a woman. I think Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation deserves some applause, at least, for allowing women to be heads of so many of our agencies. Yes, Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency, National Office of Technology Acquisition and Promotion, and you have PRODA, Project Development Institute, Raw Materials Research and Development Council, and Shader Science and Technology Complex. All these are agencies that, you know, what we do are implemented. The ministry as a body, as a headquarters, we churn out policies, but the implementation mostly lie with our agencies, and I can tell you that our agencies have been doing very well, reasonably. So I will have to move fast a bit. By way of policies, of course, we have our National Science, Technology and Innovation Policy. Then we have the National Science, Technology and Innovation Roadmap 2030. We have the National Strategy for Competitiveness in Raw Materials and Products Development and Implementation Plan. We have the Presidential Executive Order number 5. We have the National Policy on Methanol Fuel Production Technology, and we have the National Leather and Products Policy. And then recently, the policy on welding and related fields was approved by the Federal Executive Council. That's the latest in terms of the policy of the ministry, which is essentially to create an enabling environment for the sector to create jobs, wealth, and improve science, tech, innovation contribution to the GDP. Of course, we have the chemical technology policy, and then, of course, the National Biotechnology Development Policy, which has been reviewed, while the ministry is also currently articulating the nanotechnology policy to fast-track industrialization. So, specifically, like I mentioned earlier on, let me now go to the implementations and achievements in terms of the areas that I mentioned. Well, expectedly, you know I will start with health, because that is my natural habitat. So, the Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation has made some very commendable R&D breakthroughs in Medicare and health. Quite a number of non-pharmaceutical products have been developed through our health-related agency. like the various models of environmental disinfectants, spray tunnels, multi-phase disinfectant. And I'm sure if you look at that slide there, you will see that's the spray tunnels. Of course, this became something very important during the height of COVID pandemic. We're not totally out of the wood in terms of COVID. It's still there, but not as devastating as it used to be, particularly when we had those very terrible strains afflicting and leading to high mortality and morbidity. Of course, and I do know that up to now, people still use a lot of sanitizer and all that, and I can tell you that most of these sanitizers were developed from agencies. Alcohol-based and non-alcoholic hand sanitizer gel, and of course the sanitizing kiosk were some of the things produced by some of our agencies. Then the solar-powered smart hand-washing machines and pedal-operated hand-washing machines. Of course, you know, hand-washing became something very, very important. 3D face masks, and some people are still using their mask. Yes, if you feel comfortable, it's just that it's optional now. And of course, ventilators, you know, that was one equipment to deliver oxygen to patients during the COVID era. And of course, we had local production of ventilators. And of course, other important achievements in the health sector include the use of local herbs, plants, and traditional medical technology in production of drugs and treatment of terminal illnesses and diseases. Like, sure you know, one of the commonest drugs, you know, that was discovered locally is for the treatment of sickle cell anemia. And Nigeria has probably the largest percentage of patients either carrying the trait or who are really sickle cell disease patients. So I'm happy to know that we have found quite a measure of treatment from local sources in that regard. Then, of course, the development of antilipemic. When you say antilipemic, something that could reduce the fat in the body, and that's coming from Firo. Firo has done a lot in that regard, and of course, whether in form of snacks or fruits from Firo, and you see some of these things there on the slide. There's also the production of neem extracts for skin care, and of course, oral hygiene products. Well, ladies in the house, I know you are very concerned with your skin, and Madam Firo is here, so just see her after the end of this. So she will give you these products that will make your skin to glow. Of course, development of antihypertensives. Drinks that when you take them, developed by Firo, will lower your blood pressure. So for patients who are suffering from high blood pressure, we have these things here with us. You may not be seeing them as much in the market, but I can assure you that people are using these products. Of course, I had mentioned anti-sickling, that is drugs that will reverse sickling, which is the major issue in sickle cell disease. There's also development of and production of lovastatin. Lovastatin is a drug that lowers the lipid content of the body. You know, It's very, very important. A lot of people suffer from obesity and a lot of high-level cholesterol in their system. They benefit from this. So there are other things, Taka tuber for the production of starch and glucose syrup, which is used in the process of industrial production of syrups and other. Well, so many things to mention on that. I don't want to restrict myself to Medicare, lest I'm accused of being biased. So, of course, there are so many other things I've mentioned. Now, I can also tell this audience that in protecting the health of Nigerians, the ministry built the first facility to prevent, detect, and combat biological, radiological, nuclear, and improvised explosive device. In terms of attacks from these agents, there is capacity that we have developed here by NARIT. That's one of our agencies, in this area. Of course, I can also tell you that we developed the smart GSM and GPRS-based emergency management system to support security and health services to address disaster management, security, and quick response. What I'm saying here is that there is a way to acquire some information through the space observation or the information obtained from the space to give us an idea of what is likely to happen. Flooding, name it, in just ahead. You have that information ahead. You only need now to act on the information to prevent disasters. I also know that there have been contributions in the global efforts to fight some diseases like molecular diagnostic laboratory detection of diseases like tuberculosis, Ebola virus, hepatitis, HIV, and of course, there is a forensic laboratory effort going on to do DNA typing research. So I think that's enough for health related. Let me now move to food security. So as part of the government desire to improve food security in the nation and reduce the pressure on conventional food sources, the government through the Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation developed improved varieties of certain crops to serve as alternative sources for the industrial sector. You know, one of the challenges we face in the area of food security has to do with having disease-resistant varieties of seeds. That is, seeds that can resist certain diseases. And I can tell you that that's one of the areas of focus of some of our agencies, particularly in biotechnology. The other thing in the area of food security is preservation. A lot of our farm produce, they get spoiled even in a short time. And I can tell this audience that there are efforts in place to reduce, if not totally eliminate, spoilage of this produce. Then, of course, taka. When you hear taka, it's a kind of false yam which is used for the production of starch and glucose syrup which will reduce pressure on yam, cassava, and maize. We have this being produced by the Raw Materials Research Agency of our ministry. In similar vein, technology has been developed for the extraction of glucose syrup and ethanol from sweet sorghum, which otherwise would have been sourced from the sources mentioned earlier. I also do know that the agricultural crop boosting program of the ministry through the Raw Materials Research and Development Council, they have developed seedlings and seeds which are distributed to farmers across the Federation. And this has been on since 2015. Seeds like sesame, maize, soybean, cowpea, rice, ginger, banana, plantain, rice, cashew, sugarcane, tomato, okra, sugar beet, groundnut, amongst others. So I did say earlier on that in order to stem the incidences of recurring post-harvest losses in onion and garlic, the Raw Materials and Research Development Council, in collaboration with Afric Generic Synergy Farms, Sokoto, facilitated the design and fabrication of standard processing machine to process onion and garlic into flakes, thereby preserving them from spoilage. When you put them in flake form, it's like you have your cornflakes, so you also have garlic flakes and onion flakes, which make them more longer lasting. Again, the ministry through the Raw Materials Agency's program on development of dairy sector introduced the technology of increasing the daily milk yield of our cows from meager 1 to 1.5 liters of milk per cow per day to over 15 liters of milk per cow per day. And I think that deserves because this is the essence of what we are saying. I mean, if you can move from 1 to 1.5 liters to per cow to 15 liters of milk, I think that's really commendable. And again, of course, you all must have heard about moringa. Moringa is like one product that does so many things. But one of the things that one of our agencies, Chesco, has done is to find a way to incorporate this moringa to fortify livestock feed and fish feed for aquaculture and environmentally friendly insecticide, because it has this capacity to also ensure preservation. So Chesco is also working on that and has done quite a lot to achieve that goal. So still further in support of food security, we have development and implementation of low-cost based farmland irrigation system, and of course pest monitoring and control system, and that's by NASA, and development of production of packaged onion paste and other value-added products from indigenous onion varieties, and that has been put into place by FIRO. That is some kind of paste for onion varieties which you can use in various ways. It will also interest you that FIRO has been able to develop and produce sports drinks from indigenous fruits. You know, athletes and sports men and women, they need some. I mean, that is not forbidden. We're not talking of performance enhancement. We are just talking of course, glucose boost, but from natural sources. And Pharaoh has been able to do a lot in that regard. Thank you, Madam Pharaoh. I think you should be the first cheerleader for your agency. Then, of course, Pharaoh has also been able to develop what we call therapeutic foods for the management of severe acute malnutrition. Now, I can tell you, by virtue of my background, that acute malnutrition is a very, very big problem that our children, particularly under the age of 5, suffer from in our country. And oftentimes, it is just out of ignorance. It's not as if we don't have foods that can give them what they need. Alhaji Lai Mohammed, all I can say is that no weapon fashioned against me shall prosper. But notwithstanding, I'm in your authority and I've noted your information. So, thank you very much. So, I also do know that NARIT has been able to improve the value chain of the laboratory scale, and then, of course, NARIT has also been able to produce slow-release nitrogen urea fertilizer. You know that we have so many agrarian communities in our country, and so we need to help what they produce in terms of assisting in boosting their processes. Of course, you can see there rice destoner. I'll tell you that when I was very young, I hated taking rice. Not for any other thing, but because of stones. When you crack a stone, it's like, or when I cracked a stone, it's like my whole head is, it becomes something else. So we now have a device that can destone, which is coming from, again, Pharaoh. Well, you see, for me, Pharaoh has been coming on repeatedly. It is expected. It is the oldest research institution or institute in this country, isn't it? Has been there for over 7 years and 70, over 7 decades. So, Pharaoh, continue to do more. Okay? I do know that, again, you have coconut oil extraction machine, sugarcane extractor, seed oil expeller, all from Pharaoh. And of course, Chesco design and fabrication of dehumidified air. A dryer for fruits and vegetables. Of course, I did talk about the need for preservation, and that's one of the ways of preserving our fruits. This is coming from Chesco, and that is what you have there at the bottom, below the rice destoner. So, Chesco, thank you very much for that. Of course, I also mentioned earlier that one of the things our agencies are doing is to support academic and educational capacity building. And in this regard, the achievements include the transmission line trainer, the solar modular trainer, and digital process control trainer, and logic gate trainer. This was by Naseni. This was far back in 2015, before Naseni ported to higher quarters in the presidency. But of course, the umbilical cord of Naseni to Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation still remains. And that umbilical cord has not been severed. So we still refer to some of the things that they did while under the supervision of the ministry. Of course, they also had mass production and proliferation of educational science, laboratory equipment, and establishment of many foundry and tertiary institutions. All this is to practicalize issues of the sciences generally. You see, because what you see and work with stays more than what you are just told. So that's the whole essence. And of course, the training on next generation molecular biology techniques, on gene cloning and protein expression at the Molecular Biotech Center. This is by NABDA, that is National Biotechnology Development Agency. They've been doing a lot in that regard. When you're able to clone, then you can do mass production. That's the whole essence. Whatever that is cloned can be mass produced. Of course, the ministry provides academic training for postgraduate diploma in technology management, and over 360 students have graduated in the postgraduate diploma, while 35 first set of master students have attained the third and final semester. And still in support of academic and educational capacity building, we are working, that is NASA, one of our agencies, National Space Research and Development Agency, working on establishment of Space Museum and Planetarium. And of course, this will boost tourism and generate well over 30 billion naira over a 15-year period. When we travel abroad, a lot of us, that's one of the things that we want to see. We want to see the celestial bodies. You go to a planetarium, and you can see these things, and you have a better appreciation of our galaxy, and of course, you have a better appreciation of what is happening in the celestial atmosphere. It's part of knowledge, sharing, knowledge building. Of course, that project is expected to boost the nation's tourism sector and reduce capital flight and create about 5,000 direct jobs and about 20,000 indirect jobs. And we also enhance the teaching of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which are the core subjects that drive the fourth industrial revolution. I'm talking about science, tech, and innovation. So let me move now to the energy and power development, which is very critical. Of course, you know there's hardly anything, in fact, there's nothing you can do without energy. So through the ECN, not Electricity Corporation of Nigeria, but Energy Commission of Nigeria. And one of the things they have done is the establishment of 7.5 megawatt solar electricity generation plant in Kashi. That's here in FCT Abuja for solar electricity generation. Of course, there's also the deployment of 5 kilowatts kinetic turbine in Mada River for the supply of electricity to Gudi Hamlet in Nasarawa State. There's also the development of smart prepaid electricity energy meter and high efficiency LED energy saving bulbs. These are some of the things that our Energy Commission is doing. And of course, just a few weeks ago, I was there at the University of Lagos to commission. I thought that building would be here, which was the handiwork of our agency, Energy Commission of Nigeria. Thank you very much. It's located in the premises of the University of Lagos. Of course, there's also the development of electrode material for supercapacitor energy storage for application in satellite power system in support of advancement, scientific advancement and satellite development. That's by NASA. Again, there is development of modular digesters for use in power generation and household cooking. This was developed by NABDA. I think that's also commendable. PRODA has developed portable battery charger as well as development of industrial battery charger. That's a project development agency in Enugu. So, I am being conscious of the time available to me, lest my friend comes to take the microphone from me. So, of course, let's briefly talk about advancing the frontier of manufacturing and business. The ministry is very uncomfortable with Nigeria's low ranking in global reports as produced by the World Economic Forum on issues related to institutional development indicators under basic requirements parameter. And of course, technological readiness indicators under efficiency enhancers, and innovation and business sophistication indicators under innovation and sophistication parameters. So, taking cognizance of this, what have we done? Some of the major things that we have done in that regard to be better ranked globally, because your global ranking, of course, puts you in good stead as to how you are perceived, how you are respected. So, some of the major achievements that we have made in this regard to have better global ranking is the production of jet engine and in collaboration with a Belgium helicopter company to have a made in Nigeria ultralight helicopter. This was as far back as 2015 by Naseni. Of course, developing and producing rotary furnace for molding of bricks. This was also developed as far back as 2015 by Naseni. Then acquiring advanced manufacturing technology equipment for the production of industrial machine parts and components. Also developed by Naseni as far back as 2015. Then this will interest you, the production of vehicle speed limiter, which uses global positioning system for speed determination. Vehicle record and movement data are logged in 4 gigabyte to 16 gigabyte memory. And this is what CHESCO has been able to do in collaboration with the Federal Road Safety Corps. You know that Nigeria has very, very high figures of road traffic crashes. And when we came up with this kind of speed limiter, it's a way, and because most of the road crashes tend to be related to excessive speed. So we don't have a speed limit, that's why they had to work with Federal Road Safety Corps. Thank you, CHESCO. Development of automated agro and agro-allied processing for flow lines for diverse food crops, which again was the handiwork of PRODA. So still in manufacturing area, NILES, which is the leather industry, they have been able to develop machines that attach pneumatic soles to footwear. They have also been able to develop adhesives for footwear and leather goods and tanning from indigenous plants. These are some of the things that leather industry or the leather agency under, I think you have something there to show, have been able to do. I think it's also important to just mention collaboration with the African University of Science and Technology. They have been able to establish raw materials testing and certification laboratory at the university campus. This is a project that was done in collaboration with one of our agencies as well. And of course, it's a response to needs of critical stakeholders, particularly those who are in the small scale industries. Well, let me also say that NIBRI has been able to source gypsum for cement and plaster of Paris. Plaster of Paris is highly commendable that this is happening. Of course, it's going to make buildings cheaper in terms of construction. I also do know that development of essential oils extraction plants for raw materials extraction from lemongrass, eucalyptus, and all that, which are used to develop protein sweeteners. Of course, adhesives and all that, they have been developed from NIBRI as well. In the area of defense, which is probably the last here, some of the major programs that we have had to do in terms of collaboration with the defense industries, they have been able to work with us in collaboration to, you recall I mentioned earlier on, during the COVID era, that we had to supply from some of our agencies what we call PPAs, that is personal protective equipment, PPEs. We supplied all that. And of course, they are also working with us in terms of what they are doing. I do know that we are trying to establish the footwear that our soldiers can really use without importing any of these footwears. And I think we already have an MOU in place, which we will now try to really take further. Well, so much has been done in terms of human capacity. I've mentioned what the NASDA is doing and other agencies. Our strategic partnership with the Defense Ministry and the defense institutions generally. Technology application in various ways through the Nigerian satellite technology and equipment already deployed into the space for security surveillance, for land use, land cover, and regional planning, environmental monitoring for desertification, erosion control, and pollution control. In fact, if, well, I don't know what happened. If you look at what has been done in the area of space technology application, from my document here, I don't know what happened, that you are not seeing it on the, what I have there, not, I mean, if 58 items, but I can't start mentioning one by one. But let me just mention a few ones, like the automated irrigation system that has been developed, design and fabrication of 100 kilometers rocket engine static test stand, development of liquid propulsion system for autonomous area vehicles. Well, that is in the realm of what you call drones, that is unmanned air vehicles, which we can use to, yes, okay, that's we have 58 items, which I don't want to start going into, but we have the capacity to put these things into space to get information, and of course for intelligence gathering and all that. They have also been able to put space weather observation digital magnetometer, where they can get a lot of information that will be useful for defense purposes. I've also been able to develop solid rocket fuel, and among others. I've mentioned NILEST, which is our National Institute of Leather Science and Technology. I've specialized, and I've been able to produce specialized military boots and sensors that could enable tracking and surveillance. What we are saying is that, of course, when you step on the ground, you have the mark of your stepping, which can be recovered to determine who or what kind of shoes, where is it coming from and all that. That's very important so that you can trace. Of course, military wears of textiles, leather, or skin, clothing, boots, insignia, and of course, also important, the military, they may not have the luxury of taking the usual food that we take, and therefore, military rations that come in dry packs, meat, biscuits, and all that. All these have been developed by our, agencies that they can use during military operations. Of course, I've mentioned PPEs, personal protective equipments that have been made. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me assure you that so much has been done, and we're still working to especially increase or improve our global competitiveness ranking, because the more we rank in the international environment, the better for us. And of course, we have this drive towards the enhanced global competitiveness ranking, which will put us in good stead in terms of our capacity and ability. So, I think a few other things here are not. I think what I want to showcase. Can I have that graph? Allocation trend for science, technology, and innovation. Yes. If you look at that graph there, I don't know, those who are close enough, it shows the allocation trend for science, technology, and innovation. Between 2015 and 2022, you can see the graph rising. What that tells you is that this administration, more than any administration before it, has been able to put more money in STI. And if you... The reality is that anywhere, all over the world, science or research and development remain expensive venture. It's expensive. There are no two ways about it. And every product has its intrinsic value. If you talk about gold, you don't go on the streets and just pick gold. You have to get it dug from the ground and work on it before, and it's the level, the amount of research and development that you apply to it that will transform it into what is useful. It's the same thing for every other product. So in essence, your development is a function of the degree of R&D that you put into the system. And what you get, again, is a function of how much you deploy in terms of financial resources. There are no two ways about it. So we are saying that this administration has done a lot in terms of trying to make a difference. We are not there. We are not saying we are there, but has done a lot in finding, not just funding, but finding innovative ways of increasing the funding for research and development. So I just mentioned that appreciable budgetary allocation that has increased. Secondly is the presidential declaration of 0.5% of the GDP to be allocated to fund science, tech, innovation, stroke, research, development in Nigeria. And if we're able to, it's a statement of intention. And we will say that where there is will, there is always a way. So 0.5% is a lot of money if we're able to achieve it. And that is the commitment of this present administration under President Muhammadu Buhari. It will also interest you to know that TED Fund is currently funding the tertiary education and research and development institutes in Nigeria, which was never the situation. That's also an innovative way of funding research and development. And finally, in terms of, thank you very much. If you want to clap, please clap. Okay? Thank you. I can assure you that you won't be arrested for clapping. Yes. And the other innovative way that we have explored, we are still exploring, is partnership. For example, we have the Horizon Europe for Nigeria. It's a new initiative for funding of programs, of course, with the European Union also coming in to providing some funding sources so that our research and development can improve. So, by way of my concluding remarks, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our future is full of optimism. As long as we keep faith and leverage the enormous power of science, technology, and innovation, coupled with the demand-driven research and development programs, projects, and activities for advancing the frontiers of industrialization, nutrition and food security, energy and power self-sufficiency, and maintenance of national defense and internal security. The fourth industrial revolution will register Nigeria's presence and effective participation if we escalate and sustain current commitment and interest in research and innovation as principal push factors for technological advancement. We need courage, we need discipline, and we need focus on the fundamental principles of the culture of result-based management logical framework, where all policy implementation efforts will produce outcomes with a positive impact on our collective mandate, vision, mission, and core values. A new paradigm shift of ensuring that all stakeholders within the science, technology, and innovation ecosystem are in strategic alliances, especially the academia, the research and development institutes, and the organized private sector establishments to facilitate commercialization and innovation breakthroughs and funding, as well as enhance global standards of made in Nigeria products and services. The ministry is taking science, tech, and innovation and research to the subnational levels of governance in Nigeria by establishing the technology and innovation centers for global competitiveness. In the 6 global competitiveness hubs in Nigeria, where all stakeholders in the science, technology, and innovation ecosystem will remain in constant touch and relate appropriately to advance knowledge and modernize existing traditional technologies for enhanced productivity and poverty alleviation. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to believe in the ministry, that is our Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation, as an agent of the new phase of national rebirth for the good and prosperity, for the exploration, exploitation, and harnessing of our God-given, abundant, natural resources, and human potentials of Nigeria in creating our common wealth for the well-being and good of our people. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I cannot draw the curtain on this presentation without paying tribute to my immediate predecessor. That's Dr. Ogbunaya Onu. And of course, his colleague, the Honorable Minister of State, Mohammed Abdullahi, who is now the Honorable Minister of Environment, for their initial work in the ministry, upon which my colleague, the Honorable Minister of State, Chief Henry Iko, who I fondly refer to as the Red Cap Chief, and I continue to build upon since our deployment to the ministry by Mr. President in July 2022. I thank my colleague, Chief Iko, for the robust cordiality and friendship we have established between each other, which has greatly helped in the smooth running of our ministry. I commend the Permanent Secretary. Of course, if you like, call her the only lady in the midst of men. And all the directors of the ministry, as well as the heads of all our agencies, for their commitment and hard work, even in the face of daunting challenges. We have kept our eyes on the ball and remain focused on our goals. I have been encouraged by the support of the generality of the staff and management of the ministry, and particularly the ministry's union executive. And for this, I am grateful. There has been relative industrial peace in the ministry, which is highly commendable. To our friends, media representatives, thank you most profoundly for your support. Thank you for keeping us on our toes. But like I always say, when we don't do well, tell us. Don't tell them. Okay? But when we do well, tell them. Okay? Yours is a constitutional duty, which you have continued to carry out with diligence and great sense of responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough for the honor of listening to my, how do I call it? Somebody said short presentation. Okay. I say thank you for listening to my homily. Thank you very much.
If we want to stand, stand. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's take our seats. I want to thank the Honorable Minister for that wonderful presentation. They said the secret of success is constancy of purpose, and it takes a very successful personality to lead very successful people. We know that the difference between a modern man and an archaic man is the level of their beliefs in technology. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation, sir. Thank you. Quickly, we'll be moving into the question and answer section. Like we normally do for those who came in late, gentlemen of the media, when you are recognized to speak, you tell us your name, the media organization you are representing. And please restrict your questions to the issues addressed by the Honorable Minister in his presentation. Today, we will not take 4-in-1 questions, please, because I want to believe people want to ask questions at the same time. Please let us be decent in the use of language. At this point, I want to declare the floor opened for your questions, please. Gentlemen of the media, let me see your hands. We start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We end it. Thank you very much. The first question, please.
Honorable Minister, from your stewardship, I want to know how many inventions, innovations have gained global attraction, global acceptance, such that Nigeria can walk tall in the Committee of Nations, that we have invented this, and these innovations have been accepted, and they are in global use. Thank you.
Hello, Honorable Minister. Good afternoon. My name is Sonny Daniel. I work with Vanguard newspapers. I know that your ministry has done well, has invented a lot of products and provided services. I just want to know what contribution in terms of GDP have these products and services contributed to Nigeria between 2015 and now? Thank you very much.
The Honorable Minister, sir. My name is Bonnie Alaneme from African Science and Tech Digest magazine, being the foremost magazine promoting science and technology in Nigeria, and of course, within the continent of Africa. Listening to you carefully, I'm impressed, and I want to align myself with the comment you made towards the closing of your speech that the ministry has enjoyed tremendous support from the current administration in terms of allocation. I agree with you. Based on that, Honorable Minister, I want to find out that there used to be, I'm fully aware there's a document lying down in your ministry called, developed in 2017, known as STI Roadmap. I want to find out if you actually, the minister actually followed that document as a guideline in implementing most of the policies you rolled out this morning, and in some of the achievements you highlighted. Is it in line with that roadmap document? That's one. Next to that is
please, we won't take 3 in 1.
No, just by extension, in line with the UNESCO declaration that science is a human right. And that is science supposed to impact on the quality of living of Nigerians. By that, to that extent, I want to find out, by way of commercialization of R&D, do we actually engage the private sector by way of PPP in making sure that, because I'm aware that it cannot clap with one hand, to what extent are you attracting the private sector to ensure that some of the R&Ds being chunked out from the various research institutes have been taken to industry for investment?
You have made your point. Thank you. The next question, please.
Good morning, all. My name is Hadiz Zandadma from Voice of Nigeria. Honorable Minister, from your presentations, we could see the much similarities between amongst the many research results. So, if I may ask, what is the level of collaboration between these agencies while conducting this research? And is there any mechanism put in place to ensure same projects are not being researched upon over and over again? Thank you.
There's another person at the back. Just one more person, yeah.
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister. My name is Olawale Ajimotokon. I write for This Day newspapers. Thank you very much for your insight this afternoon. But at the same time, I'd like to know where we are regarding the efforts of FIRO to ensure we have alternative means to wheat production in Nigeria in view of the scarcity of flour in the market as a result of the crisis in Ukraine. So where we are, because all these years we've been talking about cassava as an alternative to flour, or to alternative to flour. So we'd like to know what is the position of FIRO in this regard, because it has been conducting research in this area for almost 20 or 30 years. So we need feedback on this. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, sir, you may wish to respond to the questions, please. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, media friends. It's good to know that the fact that you are asking questions means that you listen to me very well. And patiently waited to do the firing. Well, although I don't have a bulletproof here, but I'll probably just loan one from Alhaji Mohammed. In any case, thank you very much. Now, starting from, I think, Yusuf Ali, inventions, essentially you're asking about inventions that have been, so to speak. I do know that, yes, quite a few. I may not remember all of them right now, because these inventions that have, taken the center stage, as it were, globally, they come from different agencies of the ministry. But the ones that I remember very well is the sickle cell or anti-sickling. Let me put this anti-sickling. I did say in my presentation that Nigeria has a large, if not the largest, in terms of sicklers, in terms of carriage of the sickling gene, either in one dose or double dose, that we really call sicklers. So I do know that there is a drug anti-sickling agent that has been acknowledged globally, which is I'm also aware that there is this anti-snake venom, which has also been acknowledged globally. Of course, the typhoid vaccine, it's good for us to try and combat our own specific issues, because people out there will not come to solve this one. So the focus appropriately, particularly in the area of healthcare, which I've mentioned. So I do know this theory. There's also the pay, what we call the pay stack payment platform, which has also at the international level, at the international forum. I also know the NASDAQ, this space, the space unmanned air vehicle which NASDAQ has developed, that is also which will enable us to monitor intelligence, to also increase defense activity to combat high profile we are facing right now in the country. These are some of the, I think, that readily come to mind. I'm sure there are others that may not readily come to mind, but those are the ones that readily come to mind. Sonny from Vanguard, you're asking how much all these things put together, to GDP. Seriously, I do know that it's difficult to give you off head right now. That's truth. But I know that in terms of what STI, Science, Technology and Innovation, has contributed, I believe it's significant. I cannot put a figure to it, but it's definitely significant. Because what I have in terms of, since this administration came in, we've been having what we call quarterly assessment, performance assessment. And if I can give you some figures as to employment figures that have been established. For example, in agriculture, what we have established from the reports coming from national planning, we've been able to create about 1 million and job opportunities from what we are getting from the national planning. In the mining and quarry, about 177,675. In manufacturing, about 2.2 million. Of course, in transportation and storage, about 300,000. So you have, because there are other areas, information and communication, professional and scientific technical services, education, health and social services, and other services. So all put together, the figures which I extracted running to about 5.7 million. So if you add all those to that, I may not be able to give you a figure in terms of percentage to GDP, but from this number of jobs created, one can make a projection
And that's why I just gave a qualitative as opposed to quantitative. So in terms of qualitative addition or contribution to the GDP, I think Science, Tech and Innovation Ministry has not done badly. Thank you very much. The person who asked that question on the roadmap, yes, STI roadmap, and then yes, it's a roadmap. When you say roadmap, it's a guide. It's a document that guides us in what we're doing. And you recall how I ended my presentation, that what we're doing may be slow, but what is not controvertible is the fact that we are moving on gradually. The challenges are there. When I was commending the permanent secretary, the directors, heads of the agency, I did say, in spite of daunting challenges, the major of which is funding. You need funding. All the agencies are research-based institutes. So you need funding. So that is always a limiting factor. But notwithstanding, I can tell you that gradually we are on course to, regarding that roadmap. Then you did say that science is human right. Yes, human right. And within the limit of what we can do in terms of engagement, we are definitely engaging with not just the private sector, we are engaging across board. Because what we are doing has to be inclusive if it's going to be meaningful. So we are saying that we are talking to women, we are talking to children, school children. Just about 3 weeks ago, we had the World Science Day celebration, where secondary school children were brought together and, and we had engagement with them, shared with them the whole essence of the sciences. In fact, basic sciences. We invited academics who came to deliver lectures in a very, very practical manner to ginger, as it were, the interests of these young school children. So that's part of the engagement. We are reaching out because there is no way we can do it alone as government. So the collaboration is key. The partnership is key. And we are doing that. So, coming to that we do engage not just the private sector, but we make it rather inclusive. Hadiza from Voice of Nigeria, thank you very much. And your observation is very germane. And the heads of the agencies who are here will bear me witness that at every point, in fact, when we came into the ministry with my colleague, the Honorable Minister of State, the first engagement we had with the directors and heads of agencies was to tell them, particularly under a situation where the funding is inadequate and at no time contending issues, be double jeopardy, if you like. If you now stretch yourself, and I told the heads of the agencies in particular, because they are the ones who really implement policies. The role of the ministry is to establish policies and then do some enforcement. But in terms of implementation, most of these things are implemented by it. And I did say that
there is no point duplicating projects. You already thin out. You duplicate what an agency is already doing and is ahead. You don't have to go into that again. Just back off. That is what seriously wisdom dictates. You don't have all the funds. Limit yourself to what you can, take to conclusion. As opposed to duplicating what somebody else is doing. So, that we are looking at that. And of course, that in itself is part of what even Mr. President expects us to do. So it's well taken, and we are working on that to ensure that our agencies, they do not duplicate the projects being done. It doesn't help the system. So we're doing that. Thank you very much, Diza. This day, I didn't get the name, but I know from this day, efforts of Firu. I can assure you that I had visited Firu. If I knew that this question would be coming, I would have asked the DG Firu to bring cassava bread so that you can eat it right in the presence of everybody, to let you know that, yes, Firu has been working on alternative. I was there, and I was even given part of it, and I tasted. I saw that it was good. Okay? And the information available to me is that already Firu has perfected demand for cassava flour. The demand for it, it's about, to make bread in particular, it's about 10% now in terms of reduction of the usual flour that is used. But the goal is to, look, you recall that, Mr. President, one of the recurrent statements that Mr. President made, particularly in the few months that he came on board, is that let us eat what we grow, and let us grow what we eat. And that statement is profound. So it's like having to go back to the basics. Our agricultural production is much better than what it was, but we still have to do more. So in essence, I'm saying that we made to ensure that the demand for flour, it's not, we can produce, we must produce our own so that we can use what we have to get what we want. So that's my response to that. Thank you very much.
I don't know if Honorable Minister of Information want to. Thank you very much. Gentlemen of the media, this is the much we can take for today. We want to thank you for your time. We want to thank the Honorable Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation. We thank the Honorable Minister of State, the Permanent Secretary, and the entire team from Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. Thank you so much for your time. It has been a wonderful time with us. Thank you. May we please rise as we take the national anthem, please. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Man is created to be able to make choices in life. The choices we make as Homo sapiens makes man either rational or an irrational being. Based on his choices, he is expected to be responsible for the totality of his actions and inactions. A man's lifestyle is the interest, opinions, behaviors and behavioral orientations of the individual, group or culture. Life is full of choices, good or bad, white or black. The various choices we make as individuals will one day catch up with us. One of those choices we make in life relates to our health. After all, it is often said, health is wealth. It suffices that our health is important and should be precious to us. However, some of our choices in life as individuals responsible for our various ways of life leaves much to be desired. While a healthy lifestyle will help promote physical fitness and leaves us energetic and at reduced risk for diseases, based on the choices we make in our daily habits, an unhealthy lifestyle exposes us to avoidable risk of varying degrees of dangers, some controllable and some fatal.
Your lifestyle can affect your health in several ways. If you're a smoker, be prepared to die early. If you're a drunkard, your liver is at stake. So if you live a good lifestyle, there's every tendency that you would live longer.
Kind of food you eat, like proteinous foods, which are very, very good for our health. Not that alone, you take in good water to flush in and to make your food digest easily.
We must be able to consider physical fitness, because people who do not, indulge in exercises, daily exercises, they most times have their life being, hampered. So on daily basis, we must be able to form the habit of, doing exercises, or one way or the other have ourselves, doing physical fitness exercises.
When you live your life, you need to balance up. You don't need to overstress and overwork yourself. Yes, you should work, but you should know the balance between work and rest, so you don't break down at a point and then you just get very useless.
What we consume, eat, drink or smoke goes a long way in determining the status of our health in the long run.
The most common for us, and I think I should start with that, is unnecessary sugar. Instead of doing that, why not opt for a healthy option like your fruit juice, freshly made, which you're sure contains nutrients. Too much alcohol is not good for the body. Cigarette, I already said that already. And then fats, they have saturated fats. Saturated fats are totally bad for us.
Good nutrition, daily exercise, and adequate sleep are foundations for continuing good health. As important and simplistic these seems, it requires great discipline for anyone to maintain a healthy lifestyle, which helps improve our general well-being.
If you are self-read, if you take your body seriously enough to be able to research by yourself, I don't think it will cost you anything. Because if you think your body is important enough and you read up on what to do at the right time and how to handle your body, it wouldn't cost you anything. But if you feel like, oh, you're too busy doing, because there's something I respect professionalism. There are some people, like I said, I'm a lifestyle doctor. This is my work. This is where I am focused on. So if you think you're too busy focusing on your own profession, that you wouldn't have the time to do that, then it would cost you something to be able to get my service. But if you really take your body seriously, it shouldn't cost you anything to read up on things to do to make yourself a better person.
Eating the right food, fruits, vegetables, stress management, and a regular medical checkup can help us to maintain a perfect or near perfect healthy living. Unfortunately, it's been discovered that most people are complacent about their lifestyle habits, and so they do the opposite of what ordinarily should help them promote and sustain a good healthy living.
Unhealthy lifestyle is actually life-threatening. It is life-threatening. Beyond the fact that it might cost your life, I think you should actually think about, a lot of people, nobody wants to die really. People want to live long. But if you want to live long, quote and unquote, how do you want to see yourself when you are like 80? Do you want to be a burden on people? Do you want to be healthy enough? Do you want to be strong enough to function properly? Because actually living a healthy lifestyle is like an investment. Most people that are sad, depressed, if you check, their lifestyles are not in order. If you follow all the 6 headings, from the nutrition to exercise to tobacco and alcohol consumption to stress management to proper sleeping and having healthy relationships,